Hello, students. Welcome to the science class where we were discussing about the chapter 15 of NCERT book, that is Air Around Us. We had discussed the different components of the air, within which we had already discussed carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, water vapor. In this class, you will learn about the dust particles and smoke. Now, dust particles always present in the air, but the presence of the dust particle can only be shown in a very specific case. You can look at the picture where you had seen a ray of light is coming, and within that ray of light you can see dust particles are floating. That means the dust particles come into air from a number of sources. What are the sources? This can be the from the vehicle, that is traffic, from the wind, um, and then the dusting, you are doing dusting which is at the home. Then you can doing then it can come from the constructional activities. Then it can come from the agricultural activities. So by the from the different sources of the functions which is being carried out in the atmosphere, dust particles are accumulated. Now these dust particle in the air, they are variable, they are variable from place to place as well as from the time to time. And also, the this dust particle remain in the air, and while inhaling the air there is a chance that we may inhale these dust particles. So if you can touch your nose, you can see long hairs are there. These hairs actually are doing the function of the filter. That means they prevent the dust particle from entering into our respiratory system, and thereby these nose is very essential, and they are keeping the dust particles away from our body. That's why it is essential, it is mandatory to keep it in mind that we should never take the air or inhale through the mouth. See, if you are not well, that means due to cough and due to cold, the entire nasal passage is blocked. Then you should go for vapor, for warm water, for medication. But somehow the nasal passage has to be opened, because in any case this will not be the way to inhale through the mouth. Because in mouth the hairs are not present, so as a result of which the air which is entering inside, what contained the lots of dust particles, will not be filtered by the air if it is going through the mouth. That may cause severe damage and problem in our respiratory system. So always available, I mean advisable, to inhale through the nose but not through the mouth. This is mainly because the through our mouth the dust particles enter our and damage our respiratory system. Okay. Next, coming into the smoke. Here in the picture you can see the smoke is a very common thing which is present in the air. Now, smoke consists of fine carbon particles and some gases. It is composed of so fine carbon particles and some gases. Mainly, they are produced by burning of the fuels. As in the picture, you can see the fuel you here is petrol or diesel, whatever, and due to the burning of this fuel, the smoke are produced, which are released from the exhaust pipe of the car. And these smoke is mm, not only produced by burning of the petrol or diesel, but also burning of the wood, coal, kerosene. These are also produces the smoke, so it is always harmful. And the air containing lot of smoke, if we inhale, that could damage our health. So we generally in the factory area or in the factories, we generally see all the tall chimneys are there. Now the tall chimneys in the factories are installed to take the smoke produced in the factory high up in the air, so as to reduce its harmful effect on the ground. In the thought process that the air or the dust particles and whatever impurities will come out from the factories will go into the upper layer, so that the area adjoining the ground where we stay, where life stays, will be escaped. But nowadays, although there is mandatory to fix a absorbing machine in the mouth of the chimney, so that while the air or the smoke are coming out from the factories, before leaving into the environment, most of its polluted things are absorbed by this the machine which is attached in the mouth of the chimney, and outside we can get comparatively fresh air. Now the burning of the fuels, uh, in case of engines of the vehicle such as the car, the buses, trucks, etc., produces the smoke that may contain harmful gases. And these smoke, they emitted into the air through the exhaust pipe. So the you must have seen the traffic policeman, in majority cases they are with the masks, with the covering, because there you can imagine how much of pollution is generated in the factories, sorry, in the open road where lots of vehicles are there all around. Every vehicle is removing the polluted smokes which are coming out from the exhaust pipe, and how much the person or the police who's guiding the entire thing is suffering. So always this uh, smoke and the dust particle, they will be present in the atmosphere, they will be present in the air, in the environment, but we need to be more careful so that they do not damage our health. Next one is, how does oxygen become available to animals and plants living in the soil? So here is a question, like say we to take the oxygen directly from air by breathing, because we have a lungs. Even the animals, or they are who are staying in the aquatic environment, they also take up the dissolved oxygen. That is also for sure. But then how does the oxygen become available to the animals or plants who are living in the soil? Let's do an experiment here. Also you have been showing an experiment which says that, like when water is poured over a soil, you can see some soil is kept in the jar and water is poured over it, so you can see air bubbles are, they are started forming. And why air bubbles are forming? Because the soil contains air. These air are trapped between its particles. So when the water is poured, air escape in the form of a bubble. Okay. Now you, the animals like which live in the soil, and also the plant roots which grow in the soil, both of them, they need the oxygen, because already it has been mentioned several times that oxygen is essential for breathing. It may be any type of animal, small animal, big animal, and any type of plant, their breathing gas is oxygen. So they get this oxygen from the air present where I had just shown you, that is in spaces between the soil particles. So we can say that air is also found in the soil. After this, that activity which I showed you, you can say, or we can say, that is air is also found in the soil. The air is present in the spaces between the soil particle, so the animal, which are living inside the soil, get oxygen for breathing from the air present between the soil particle. Suppose an insect stays in the soil, so how does that insect get the oxygen? That is from the air which is present in the soil particle. But when it rains heavily, okay, so all the spaces which are occupied by the air in the soil get filled up with the water, so automatically no air left in the soil. So what will happen in that situation? Animal living inside the soil have to come out of the soil to obtain air for breathing. Suppose you may have seen or visualize that scene, that when there is a heavy rain, all the ants and smaller insects are coming out from the soil. Why are they coming out from the soil? Because all the soil particles, that is the pores between the soil particles, initially were filled up with oxygen, with air. Now after the heavy rain, the raindrops are going into those area, and the soil particles are being filled up with the rainwater. So there is no air, no oxygen. So how will they survive? Because they every moment require oxygen like us. So they all are coming up in order to get the or obtain the fresh air or obtain the oxygen. It is becoming, say, you can get a very good example of earthworm. They generally live inside the soil, but during heavy rain, if you see in the area where there is open ground, unpaved, without any pavement, you can see lots of, say, many earthworms are coming out from the soil. Why? Because during heavy rain, all the spaces in the soil, that is which contains air, get filled up with the rainwater. So as a result of which, there is no space left in the soil for earthworm to breathe, and due to this, the earthworm have to come out of the soil to get the fresh air or the oxygen. Like earthworm, many animal which are living in the soil dig burrows and holes deep into the soil, because they also make spaces. They means the burrows also make, say, spaces available for the air to move into the soil, so that it can be used to obtain the energy by animals living there. Okay, so the roots of the plant, like which grows in the soil, they get the oxygen for respiration by the same manner, that is the air which is present in between the soil particle. So from this discussion, we get, or we conclude, that the animals and the plants living in the soil, they are getting the oxygen, or they are getting the air which is present in the soil. Now that is why it is a common observation that a lump of cotton wool shrinks when put in water. If you take some cotton wool and put it in the water, it will shrink. Why it will shrink? Because the lump of cotton wool, they contain lot of air in the large spaces between fiber, but when they get the water, this air are expelled by the water, and resulting its shrinkage. So all of you, I am sure, have understood how the plants and the animals remaining in the soil get the oxygen. Similarly, plants and animals which are living in the water, they also get, or the aquatic plants, or aquatic life also contain, get oxygen, use the which is used in the dissolved water. So by the dissolved activity. So by the dissolved oxygen, by taking up the dissolved oxygen, aquatic organism fulfill their want of or their act of respiration. Okay, so in the next class we will study about the how oxygen in the air is replaced and different uses of air. Till then, all of you stay safe, stay well. Thank you.